So the rich black boy thought he could buy respect by saving a white cop. County jail. Felix Owens, Detroit's most powerful crime boss, backs against concrete. His $3,000 suit is gone, replaced by orange fabric and blood. 3 inmates circle him. The leader spits. "You think being their pet makes you better than us?" A fist cracks his ribs. A shank presses against his throat. Dead sellouts don't need money. 72 hours earlier, Warehouse District, 3:17 a.m. Felix heard gunfire 2 blocks away. He should have driven off. Instead, he found her in a dark alley. Officer Sarah Mitchell, 25, 2 bullets in her chest, dying. The cop who'd been hunting him for 2 years. Felix pressed his expensive jacket against her wounds, called 911, stayed until paramedics arrived. That choice saved her life. It also exposed 5 corrupt detectives, forced the chief to resign, and brought the FBI crashing down on Detroit police. One criminal just destroyed an empire, 48 hours before the 9911 call. Felix Owens didn't look like a criminal, that was the point. His penthouse loft overlooked the Detroit River. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, original art on exposed brick. A kitchen he never used because restaurants knew his order before he sat down. He'd built this from nothing. Foster care at 6, juvenile detention at 14, first arrest at 16 for something he didn't do but took the fall for because that's what you did when you had no one. By 22, he understood. The system wasn't broken. It worked exactly as designed, just not for people who looked like him. So he built his own system. Money laundering through legitimate businesses, high-interest loans to people banks rejected, protection for shop owners police ignored. No drugs, no guns. Violence was expensive. Respect was currency. Deshaun Bryant, his oldest friend and advisor, sat across from him reviewing ledgers. "Westside crew's pushing our territory, 4th time this month." Felix sipped Ethiopian coffee, $22 a pound. "Let them push. We adjust." Someone's feeding them intel. "Then find out who, quietly." His phone buzzed. Text from his accountant. The community center he'd anonymously funded just passed inspection. 70 kids would have after-school safety. No one would know he paid. Invisible. Untouchable. Ghost. Across Detroit, Detective Sarah Mitchell hunched over her computer in a cramped cubicle, eyes burning from spreadsheets. 731 days building her case against Felix Owens. Transaction records, surveillance photos, witness statements from people too scared to testify. Everything except proof. Hard, courtroom-ready, destroy-his-life proof. Her father, Chief Richard Mitchell, appeared at her entrance. 56. 3 decades on force, weight showing in the lines around his eyes. "Sarah, go home." "I'm close, Dad." "You said that 6 months ago." "This time I mean it." She turned her screen. "Felix meets associates every Thursday. Same warehouse, predictable. I can..." "You can't do anything alone." Authority in his voice. But with her, it softened. "You're too close." "Someone has to be." "Not my daughter." He sighed. "I'm proud of your dedication, but obsession isn't good police work. Owens evaded us 8 years. What makes you..." "Because I'm better." No arrogance. Fact. "Smarter. Work harder. Care more than anyone here." Chief Mitchell studied her. His daughter. Brilliant. Driven. So much like him it scared him. "Be careful. Men like Owens don't stay free being careless. If he suspects, he won't." But Felix already knew. That evening, Felix stood in the warehouse Sarah had been watching for months. Routine meeting, reviewing accounts, settling disputes, maintaining his ecosystem. As everyone left, Deshaun lingered. "We've got a tail." Felix didn't react. "How long?" 3 months minimum. Unmarked sedan. Changes positions. Never leaves. Young white woman. Blonde. Always alone. Plates? Detroit PD. Ran her photo. Deshaun showed his phone. Detective Sarah Mitchell. 25. Chief's daughter. Academy top of class. Major crimes after 18 months. Fast-tracked. Ambitious. Hunting him. Felix studied her photo. She had her father's eyes. Determined. Uncompromising. "She's good," Deshawn said. "Knows how to stay invisible." "Not invisible enough." "Want me to handle it?" Felix looked sharp. "Handle how?" Deshawn raised hands. "Legal. Back her off." "No. Leave her alone. She's doing her job. We do ours better." Felix headed out. "She wants to watch empty buildings. Let her. We've got bigger problems than one ambitious cop." He had no idea how wrong he was. That night, Sarah sat in her unmarked car 3 blocks from the warehouse, telephoto lens ready. She'd photographed Felix, Deshawn, 6 associates. Not enough for arrests, enough for pattern. Her phone buzzed. Her Kai. Trey. Low-level runner in Felix's network. Text. "Big meeting tomorrow night, 11 p.m., same spot, cash exchange." Sarah's pulse quickened. Cash meant evidence, physical evidence, courtroom evidence. She should call backup, request support, follow protocol. But backup meant other detectives, meant shared credit, meant her case, 2 years of work, becoming someone else's collar. She typed, "I'll be there." Tomorrow would change everything. She had no idea how much. The night everything changed. 3:17 a.m. That particular quiet between bar close and dawn commute. Sarah had been in her car 4 hours, back aching, coffee cold 2 hours ago. But she stayed, camera ready, watching through night vision. The meeting ended at 1:30 a.m. Felix left in a black Mercedes, Deshawn separate, standard, never traveled together, harder to tail. Sarah should have gone home. Instinct kept her. The feeling before a breakthrough. At 3:12 a.m., a van rolled up. No headlights. 3 men got out. Not Felix's people. She'd memorized every face. These were different. Rougher. West Side crew tattoos visible in low light. Not here for meeting, here for ambush. Sarah grabbed her radio, stopped. Called it in meant explaining unauthorized surveillance. Solo operation. Violation of orders. Career over before backup arrived. She made a choice she'd regret forever. Got out. No backup, no vest, no plan except see what they're planning. The alley behind the warehouse was darker than her car. Dumpsters created shadow labyrinths. Rotting garbage mixed with motor oil. She crept closer, hand on weapon, heart hammering. 3 men talking, low, angry. Said Owens people would be here with cash. Tipped us off. Easy score. Where the hell are they? Sarah froze. Someone tipped them. Inside Felix's organization? Or worse, inside the department? She pulled her phone to record. Her foot hit a bottle. Glass scraping concrete exploded like gunshot in silence. 3 heads turned. 3 guns appeared. Who the... Sarah ran. Gunfire erupted, sound impossibly loud, echoing off brick. She felt air move as bullets passed inches from her head. Her car was too far. She'd never make it. Ducked behind dumpster, yanked weapon, keyed radio. Bullet punched through metal beside her face. Sparks showered her hair. Radio again. Officer needs assistance. Warehouse district. Multiple... Bullet found meat. Impact spun her sideways. Chest. Burning. Can't breathe. Radio flew from hand, skittered into darkness. She stumbled, trying to run, trying to think through pain. Training screamed, "Move! Cover! Return fire!" Body wasn't listening. Second bullet, shoulder. Gun arm went numb. Weapon clattered away. She fell. Alley tilted. Sky and ground switched. Cold pavement against cheek. Warm blood soaking uniform. Footsteps. Getting closer. She tried to crawl. Couldn't. Tried to scream. Nothing but wet gurgle. Footsteps stopped. Someone standing over her. It's a cop! We hit a cop? Who tipped us? Who said, "Doesn't matter, we gotta go, now"? Running, fading, gone. Silence. Sarah lay in the alley, blood pooling, phone somewhere unreachable, radio destroyed, backup that would never come because nobody knew she was here. She thought about her father, how disappointed he'd be. Not that she got shot, that she'd been stupid enough to go alone. Thought about Felix Owens, how he'd never know she almost had him. Thought about the life she'd planned. Detective, lieutenant, chief someday, all bleeding out onto dirty pavement at 3:17 a.m. Vision tunneled, edges going dark, cold spreading from fingers to chest. This was it. This was how it ended. Then, headlights, engine, car door, footsteps again, someone kneeling, a voice, male, calm despite what he was seeing. "Hey, stay with me." Hands, gentle but urgent, checking pulse, tilting head for airways. She forced eyes to focus. The face resolved into features memorized from thousands surveillance photos. Felix Owens. The man she'd spent 2 years trying to destroy was now the only person who could save her. Lips moved, barely whisper, "Owens." He met her eyes. Something flickered. Recognition, maybe respect. "Yeah, I know who you are too, detective. Now shut up and let me help you." Felix's $3,000 jacket came off smooth. Charcoal Armani, custom tailored. Worn to meeting with investors in his legitimate real estate. Now a trauma bandage. He pressed expensive fabric against Sarah's chest wound. Blood soaked through instantly. Shoulder wound bled less. Through and through. Missed artery. But the chest. "Deshawn, phone!" His advisor pulled a burner from glove compartment. Felix never carried his real phone to meetings. Precaution saving him now. Sarah's eyes glazing. Shock. "Stay with me, detective." Felix kept pressure with one hand, tilted her head with other, kept airway open. "You don't get to die. Not tonight." She tried to speak. Blood bubbled at lips. "I said shut up." Voice gentle, almost kind. Deshawn handed phone. Felix dialed 911, tucked against shoulder while maintaining pressure. 911, what's your emergency?" "Officer down, gunshot wounds, chest and shoulder bleeding out." Operator sharpened. "Officer, sir, location?" Felix rattled cross streets, alley behind warehouse. "Your name, sir?" Felix looked at Sarah. Badge caught streetlight. Mitchell S. Detective, Mitchell. As in Chief Richard Mitchell. As in daughter of the man who'd made Felix public enemy #1 for 8 years. Of course she was. "Sir, name." "Doesn't matter, send ambulance. She's a cop, she's dying, hurry." He ended call, dropped phone. Deshawn scanned alley for threats. "Boss, we need to leave. Whoever shot her might return. When cops arrive..." "I know." "If they find you..." "I know!" Voice cracked. "I know what it looks like, what they'll think, but look at her." Deshawn did. Young woman, mid-20s, whole life bleeding away on pavement that didn't care. "We leave her, she dies," Felix said quietly. "She's a cop, been hunting us. This is convenient." "I wasn't..." "Yes, you were, because it's true." Felix pressed harder. Sarah groaned, barely conscious. 2 years building a case. Smart, dedicated, good at her job. Now dying and we can walk away. Let her bleed. No witness, no case. Problem solved. Silence except Sarah's labored breathing. "But that's not who we are." Felix looked up. "That's what they think we are. Monsters who'd let a woman die because it's convenient. We're not, right?" Deshawn's jaw worked. Long pause. "Right, boss. So we stay. If cops see you?" Felix smiled without humor. "Then we find out if doing right matters." Sirens distant, getting closer. Sarah's hand, the one that worked, grabbed Felix's wrist. Weak, fading. She mouthed something. He leaned close. "Why?" "Because you're a person," Felix said simply. "And I'm a person. Everything else is noise." Sirens close. 2 blocks. 1. "Boss." "I know." Felix transferred Sarah's weight carefully, maintaining pressure. "Get the car running." Red and blue lights at alley entrance. Paramedics burst in. Boxes. Stretcher. "Male, step back!" Felix raised hands, blood covering palms. "She's been shot. Twice. chest and shoulder, 3, maybe 4 minutes. I've been applying. Step back now! Paramedics swarmed Sarah, professional, fast, one clocked badge. Officer down, we need ALS! Felix backed slowly, caught one paramedic's eye. Young, couldn't be more than 25. Kid stared. Expensive shoes, designer watch, blood-soaked jacket. Recognition flickered. You're... Make sure she lives, Felix said. Turned, walked into shadows. More sirens, police arriving. Someone shouted, "Hey, stop!" But Felix was already gone. The manhunt. By dawn, Felix's face was on every channel. Breaking. Police searching for Felix Owens in connection with Detective Sarah Mitchell's shooting. Owens considered armed and extremely dangerous. Deshawn muted the TV in safe house. They're saying in connection with. That's code for suspect. Felix sat at kitchen table staring at hands, scrubbed 3 times. Sarah's blood still under fingernails. They found the jacket. Deshawn scrolled news feeds. Armani, her blood, traced to purchase you made, running it as evidence. Evidence of what? Saving her? Evidence you were there. Grim. Boss, they're not seeing Good Samaritan. They're building narrative. Known criminal, cop investigating him, both in alley, her shot, him bloody. What do you think they conclude? Felix knew exactly. Same thing they always concluded about men who looked like him. His phone, burner used for 911, buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Owens, female, professional. Rebecca Anderson, attorney. We need to talk. I didn't hire you. Deshawn did. On your behalf. 15 minutes ago. Pause. Mr. Owens, police are building attempted murder. If they find you before we negotiate, you know how this ends. Felix closed eyes. Yeah, he knew. Black man, white cop, blood, gun. Ended with him face down, or worse. What are you proposing? Voluntary surrender, protective custody. Negotiate with DA before you hit lockup. Rebecca sharpened. But we need leverage. Need her to talk. She's unconscious in ICU. Not anymore. Woke up hour ago. And Mr. Owens? Pause. She's asking for you. Detroit General Hospital, ICU. Chief Richard Mitchell hadn't left his daughter's bedside 9 hours. Sarah lay propped on pillows, chest bandaged, IV lines in arms. Pale, weak, alive. Tell me again, Mitchell said quietly. Exactly. Sarah's voice hoarse from breathing tube removed an hour ago. Surveilling warehouse, unauthorized, I know. 3 men showed, West Side crew, waiting for someone. Got tipped. Tipped by who? Don't know, but Dad. She met his eyes. Felix Owens didn't shoot me, he saved me. Mitchell's jaw tightened. Sarah, you were in shock. Trauma affects memory. I know what I saw. Stronger. West Side shot me. They ran. I was dying. Felix showed up, pressed his jacket on my wounds, called 911. Stayed. Why would he? I don't know, but he did. Now you're hunting him for attempted murder when he's the reason I'm breathing. Knock. Captain Torres entered, tablet in hand. Chief, forensics. Mitchell turned. And? Bullets we pulled match casings found at scene. .45 caliber. We arrested 2 West Side fleeing. Their weapons match. Torres showed photos. Gunpowder residue on hands. Blood spatter consistent with standing over victim close range. Mitchell stared. So Owens didn't shoot her? No, sir. But Detective Ramos is pushing theory. Owens hired West Side. Ambush went wrong. He showed up to clean up, play hero, cover involvement. Sarah tried sitting, winced. That's insane. Why call 911? Why use his jacket? Why leave evidence? Establish alibi, Mitchell said quietly. Didn't sound convinced. Torres continued. Sir, something else. The 911 call. Dispatch released audio. She played it. Felix's voice, steady but urgent. Officer down, gunshot wounds, chest and shoulder. She's bleeding out. Operator. Location? Felix gave cross streets. Operator, your name, sir? Pause. Long enough to hear Sarah's labored breathing, then, doesn't matter, send ambulance, she's a cop, she's dying, hurry. Call ended. Silence in hospital room. He didn't have to call, Sarah whispered. Could have left me. No witnesses, no case. I've been hunting him 2 years and he saved me anyway. Mitchell rubbed face. 30 years on force. Seen criminals do terrible things. Also seen good cops do terrible things. But this. Where's Owens now? In the wind, Torres said. Units at every known associate, every property, nothing. Sarah grabbed father's hand. Dad, call off the manhunt. Sarah, he saved my life. The longer you hunt him like he's bad, the more danger he's in. You know what happens when cops find a suspect they think tried to kill one of theirs? Mitchell knew. Shoot first. Questions later. Qualified immunity. I can't just... Yes, you can. Sarah's grip tightened. You're chief. Call press conference. Tell truth. Truth is complicated. Truth is simple. Man saved cop's life. Start there. Before Mitchell could respond, phone rang. Unknown. He answered. Mitchell. Chief. Female. Rebecca Anderson, attorney for Felix Owens. My client would like to surrender. We have conditions. The press conference. 36 hours after shooting, Channel 7 broke story first. Detective Sarah Mitchell, hospital bed, gave exclusive interview. Reporter leaned in. Detective, you've been building case against Felix Owens 2 years. Now saying he saved you? Sarah looked at camera, pale but steady. Felix Owens did not shoot me. The men who shot me are in custody. West Side crew. Felix found me dying. Used his jacket to stop bleeding. Called 911. Stayed until paramedics arrived. Pause. I'm alive because of him. But he's a known criminal. He's a person who made a choice. Could have walked away. Didn't. Voice strengthened. Detroit police need to stop this manhunt and look at facts. Interview went viral minutes later. Hashtag Felix Owens trended. Reddit exploded. In Black Detroit, people watched young white cop defend black man and thought, maybe. Pastor Jerome Williams called emergency meeting at Bethel, AME. 200 showed. They're hunting this man, Pastor Williams said from pulpit, for doing what we teach children. Help someone in need. Show mercy. Choose kindness. Voice rose. But when black man shows mercy to white cop, suddenly suspicious? Evidence of guilt? Agreement rippled through congregation. We know how this ends if they find Felix Owens in some alley at night. We've seen this movie. Pastor Williams looked at faces. Young, old, angry, afraid. What are we gonna do? Mrs. Johnson, 72, stood. We march. We call mayor, someone said. We make noise until they listen. Within hours, hashtag Justice for Felix trended alongside hashtag Felix Owens. Protests outside Detroit PD, story went national. In Safe House East Side, Rebecca sat across from Felix with a deal. DA will drop attempted murder if you surrender. Charge leaving scene, misdemeanor. Bail $500,000. You post, ankle monitor, await trial. Felix stared at paperwork. If I don't? They find you in 3 days, maybe less. When they do... Rebecca didn't finish. Deshawn stood by window. It's a trap. Or, Rebecca countered, you control narrative. Surrender publicly. Cameras everywhere. Make it impossible to disappear you. Felix thought about Sarah in that alley. About his sister, dead at 25 because no hospital would treat her without insurance. About the system deciding who deserved saving. Set it up, he said. I'll surrender. My way. Detroit Police Headquarters. Steps. Noon. 50 cameras. 600 protesters chanting, Justice for Felix! Chief Mitchell at podium, looking aged 10 years in 2 days. Black SUV pulled up. Rebecca stepped out. Then Felix. Designer suit, hands raised, face calm. Crowd erupted. Police moved in. Rebecca blocked. My client surrendering voluntarily. No weapons, no resistance. The world is watching. Felix walked up steps, every camera on him. At top, Chief Mitchell waited, eyes locked. Felix spoke first. I didn't hurt your daughter, Chief. I saved her. Mitchell's voice rough. I know. Admission hung. Mitchell nodded to officers. Take him in. Protective custody. No county. As they led Felix away in cuffs, Sarah's voice echoed from every broadcast. Felix Owens saved my life. City watched, wondered, began asking the question that would tear everything apart. If he's the criminal, who are the good guys? The arraignment courtroom packed. Media, protesters outside, police lining walls. Felix stood before Judge Patricia Hall, cuffed, Rebecca at his side. Prosecutor, young ADA Morrison, eager, read charges. The people charge Felix Owens with leaving scene of crime, failure to render— Your Honor, Rebecca interrupted smoothly. Mr. Owens did render aid, called 911, applied pressure to wounds, remained until paramedics arrived. The victim has stated— I've seen Detective Mitchell's statement. Judge Hall looked over glasses at Felix. Mr. Owens, you could have called and left. You stayed. Why? Felix met her eyes. Because she was dying, Your Honor. I'm not the kind of man who lets people die when I can help. Murmurs rippled through courtroom. Morrison jumped. Your Honor, defendant has extensive criminal history. Known gang— Alleged, Rebecca corrected. Never convicted. Significant flight risk. Judge Hall reviewed file. Long pause. Bail set at $500,000. Ankle monitor. Remain within city limits pending trial. Felix's people posted bail in 20 minutes. Outside courthouse media swarmed. Felix walked out, Rebecca running interference, when a voice cut through. Mr. Owens! Sarah Mitchell stood by railing, still pale, moving carefully. Her father beside her, jaw tight. Felix stopped. They stared. Cop and criminal, hunter and hunted. 2 years collapsed into this moment. Sarah spoke first. Thank you for what you did. You're welcome. Why? Felix glanced at cameras, at Mitchell's stony face, at watching crowd. Because you were dying, he said simply. That's why. Sarah nodded slowly. I spent 2 years trying to arrest you. I know. Almost a smile. You're good at your job, just not good enough. Despite everything, Sarah's lips twitched. Moment caught on camera, viral within the hour. Chief Mitchell stepped forward, extended hand. Felix stared, then shook. My daughter's alive because of you, Mitchell said quietly. I won't forget. But his eyes said, I still know what you are. Crowd erupted, half cheering, half booing. Nobody noticed Detective Ramos watching from window above, phone pressed to ear, face twisted with rage. The backlash. Within hours, both faced consequences. At Detroit PD, officers turned backs when Sarah entered. Someone spray-painted COPLOVER on her locker. In Felix's world, whispers, he's gone soft, chose them over us. Rival crew tested territory, small moves, seeing if King's still on throne. In shadows, Ramos made a call that would destroy them both. 1 week after arraignment, Sarah returned to work on desk duty. No gun, no badge, just paperwork and cold shoulders from people who used to be colleagues. She sat in her cubicle reviewing her own case. The shooting, evidence, timeline. Something nagged, a detail that didn't fit. West Side crew shooters had been waiting for someone. They'd said it. Someone tipped us off. But who? She pulled up the file on 2 arrested shooters. Both refused to talk, even with deals on table. Loyal to someone, or scared. Sarah opened communication logs from the night of shooting. Radio traffic, dispatch calls. Then she saw it. Call logged at 11:47 p.m., 2 hours before she was shot. Anonymous tip to gang unit. Felix Owens' crew will be at warehouse with cash. Easy pickup. Call came from inside the department. Sarah's blood went cold. She traced it. Originated from desk phone in major crimes. Detective Ramos's desk. She sat back, mind racing. Ramos tipped West Side crew, sent them to ambush Felix's people. But Felix wasn't there. Sarah was. Ramos had accidentally set up his own colleague. No, not accidentally. Sarah pulled Ramos's case files. Started digging. Found financial records she shouldn't have access to, but did because nobody thought to revoke her credentials. Bank deposits. Regular. Unexplained. $1,500 every 2 weeks for 18 months. Matching dates when West Side operations went untouched by police raids. Ramos was dirty, and now she had proof. That same night, Felix's safe house. Deshawn burst in, laptop open. "Boss, we got a problem." Felix looked up from takeout Thai he wasn't eating. Ankle monitor on leg, constant reminder of his cage. Bigger than house arrest? Way bigger. Deshawn turned laptop. New surveillance footage leaked to Channel 7. Shows you meeting with West Side shooters 3 days before Sarah got shot. Felix stared at screen. Footage showed him in alley talking to 2 men. Same 2 arrested for shooting Sarah. Impossible. I never met them. I know, but metadata says this is from Warehouse District Security. Timestamp, location, everything checks. Felix watched again. Lighting right. Location right. Even his clothes matched what he'd worn that day. But he'd never been in that alley. It's doctored, has to be. Yeah, but it's good, real good. Whoever made this knew what they're doing. Felix's phone buzzed. Rebecca Anderson. Turn on news, now. Channel 7 running footage with breaking banner. Exclusive. Surveillance shows Owens meeting shooters before cop ambush. Anchor's voice. This footage, obtained exclusively, appears to show Felix Owens meeting the same men arrested for shooting Detective Mitchell days before attack. Police sources say this supports theory Owens orchestrated ambush to eliminate Detective investigating him. "They're framing me," Felix said quietly. Rebecca's voice grim. "DA just filed new charges. Conspiracy to commit murder. Revoking bail." "When?" "Warrants already issued. They're coming tonight." Detroit Police Headquarters, evidence room. Sarah confronted Ramos in hallway. "I know what you did." Ramos turned, face neutral. "Don't know what you're talking about, Mitchell. You tipped West Side crew, sent them to warehouse. You've been on their payroll 18 months. Expression didn't change. "Serious accusation. Got proof?" "Bank records, communication logs. Call came from your desk." "My desk that 20 other detectives have access to." Ramos stepped closer. "You've been through trauma, Sarah. Shot. Nearly died. Sometimes that messes with your head. Makes you see conspiracies that aren't there. I see you just fine. Here's what I see." Voice dropped, dangerous. "Detective who went rogue, nearly got killed. Now so desperate to save face she's attacking fellow officers. You're damaged goods, Mitchell. Nobody's gonna believe you." Sarah held his gaze. "Felix Owens will." Ramos smiled. "Felix Owens is going to county jail tonight. Once he's in Gen Pop, well, accidents happen, especially to cop killers." "He's not a cop killer. He will be. That new footage seals it. By tomorrow, everyone will know he set you up." Ramos leaned in. "You should have died in that alley, Sarah. Would have been cleaner. Now you're just making it messy." He walked away. Sarah stood shaking with rage and made a decision that would end her career. County Jail, intake, 11:47 p.m. Felix was processed into county jail amid media circus. Cameras caught him in orange, cuffed, being led through corridors by guards whose faces showed exactly what they thought. Cop shooter, lowest of low. They put him in Gen Pop despite Rebecca's protests. Standard procedure, they said. No special treatment. Cell block D, same block where violent offenders waited for trial. Felix knew what this was. Death sentence in orange fabric. Inmates knew too. Word spread fast. Man who shot cop was here. Felix was assigned a cell. 6 by 8 feet. Concrete bed. Metal toilet. A cellmate, Hispanic, tattooed, watching with dead eyes. "You the one?" cellmate asked. "Depends what you heard." "Heard you shot a white cop. That true?" "No. That's not what TV says." Through bars, Felix could see other inmates gathering, watching, waiting. He had maybe 24 hours before someone made a move. Detroit General Hospital, midnight. Sarah sat in the car in parking lot, laptop open, staring at evidence she'd compiled on Ramos. Enough to prove he was dirty. Enough to show he'd tipped West Side crew. Enough to prove new surveillance footage was fake. She'd found editing artifacts in metadata. But going forward meant admitting she'd hacked departmental files. Meant accusing decorated detective without authorization. Meant ending her career before it really started. Her father had built entire life on this department. 3 decades service. She'd be throwing dirt on that legacy. Her phone rang. Rebecca Anderson. "Felix is in county jail. Gen Pop. Detect Mitchell. If someone doesn't do something, he'll be dead by morning." Sarah closed eyes. Thought about that alley. About Felix's hands pressing jacket against her wounds. About his voice. "Stay with me." She opened laptop. Attached all evidence. Typed Rebecca's email. Hesitated. 1 click and there was no going back. She clicked send. Then called her father. "Dad, I need to tell you something about Detective Ramos, and you're not going to like it." County Jail, Cell Block D, 1:23 a.m. 3 inmates approached Felix's cell. One had shank, razor blade melted into plastic. Another had lock and sock. Third just had fists and hatred. Guard on duty conveniently on break. Cell door buzzed, opened. Someone had paid for access. 3 men entered. Leader, white, neck tattoos, grinned. So the rich black boy thought he could buy respect by saving a white cop? Felix stood slowly. Calculated odds. 3 on 1. Armed. Locked cell. 0 chance. "You think being their pet makes you better than us?" Man spat. "Think your money makes you white?" Fist cracked Felix's ribs. He doubled over. Another punch to stomach. Knee to face. He tasted copper. Someone pulled shank. Rusted blade. Taped handle. Hands grabbed his throat. Slammed him against wall. Steel pressed against neck. "Dead sellouts don't need money." Felix closed eyes. Thought about his sister. About Sarah. About choosing to help instead of walk away. No regrets. Blade moved. Alarm! Red lights, sirens, guards flooding cell block. "Everyone down, now!" 3 attackers froze. Federal agents in tactical gear swarmed cells. FBI, U.S. Marshals. Leading them, Chief Richard Mitchell and Rebecca Anderson. Mitchell's voice boomed. "Felix Owens is under federal protective custody. Anyone touches him answers to me." Attackers yanked out, cuffed, dragged away screaming. Felix slumped against wall, blood from nose but alive. Mitchell appeared at cell door. "You good?" Felix laughed. It hurt. "Define good." "Can you walk?" "Yeah." "Then let's get you out of here." As they led Felix out, past watching inmates, past cameras, Rebecca leaned close. "Sarah Mitchell just burned her entire career to save you. She sent me everything on Ramos, corruption, fake footage, all of it." Felix looked at her. "Why would she do that?" "Because you saved her first." And in that moment, Felix understood. Mercy wasn't transaction. It was circle. What you gave came back, not always from person you helped, but it came back. Federal safe house, morning after attack. Felix sat in clinical room smelling like disinfectant and government budget cuts. Medic wrapped his ribs, 3 cracked, not broken. Face swollen, one eye nearly shut. He was alive, more than he'd expected 12 hours ago. Rebecca entered with Chief Mitchell, tension thick enough to cut. Mitchell spoke first. "Mr. Owens, we need to talk." "About how your department tried to get me killed?" "About how one of my detectives tried to get you killed." Mitchell's voice steel. "Detective Ramos has been on West Side Crew's payroll 18 months. He tipped them about your warehouse meeting, hoping they'd ambush your crew. Instead, they found my daughter. Felix absorbed this. So Sarah was collateral damage? Yes. Word cost Mitchell something. Ramos realized his mistake. Instead of coming clean, he doctored surveillance to frame you, made it look like you orchestrated hit, then arranged for you to be placed in Gen Pop where inmates he'd paid would finish job. Tidy. It would have been. Mitchell sat heavily. But my daughter hacked departmental files, traced corruption, found evidence, handed it all to Ms. Anderson, knowing it would end her career. Rebecca pulled out tablet, showed Felix bank records, communications logs, metadata from doctored footage. Ramos wasn't working alone. 5 other officers on West Side's payroll. They fed gang information on rival operations, protected drug territories, even helped eliminate competition. Felix stared at evidence. All this to control a few city blocks? Money, Mitchell's voice bitter. Ramos was taking home extra $36,000 a year. For $36,000, he was willing to let cops die. Silence. Then Felix laughed. No humor. You know what's funny? I built an empire everyone calls criminal, but I never put cops in danger, never paid off badges. I stayed in my lane. You stayed in yours. He met Mitchell's eyes. But your house was dirty the whole time, and it took me saving your daughter for you to notice. Mitchell's jaw tightened. You're right. Admission hung in air. I've been chief 8 years, built career on cleaning up streets, press conferences about taking down crime, and the whole time my own detectives were more corrupt than criminals we were chasing. Mitchell rubbed face. 30 years of certainty crumbling. How do I reconcile that? Felix considered him. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just accept it. Accept what? That people are complicated. I run criminal enterprises. I break laws. But I also fund community centers, help people banks won't touch. And when I found your daughter dying, I didn't see a cop or a case or an enemy. I saw a person. Felix's voice softened. You spent 8 years seeing me as a problem to solve. Did you ever once see me as a person? Mitchell had no answer. Rebecca cleared throat. Gentlemen, bigger issue. DA wants Felix to testify against Ramos and others. In exchange, immunity for past operations. Felix shook head. I testify. I'm a snitch. I'd be dead within a month. We can offer witness protection. You couldn't protect me in your own jail. Felix stood, wincing. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. And I'm not testifying. Then what do you want? Mitchell asked. Door opened. Sarah entered, moving carefully, still healing. Eyes red, crying or fighting or both. She looked at her father. I've been suspended pending internal investigation. They're talking termination, unauthorized access to files, insubordination. Mitchell's face crumbled. Sarah! I don't regret it. She turned to Felix. You saved my life. I wasn't going to let them murder you for it. Felix studied her. 2 years she'd hunted him. Now she'd sacrificed everything to save him. Why? He asked. Because it was right. Simple, direct. And because if I'm going to be a cop, I need to be the kind who does right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. She looked at father, at Rebecca, back to Felix. So here's what I propose. You know the streets. You know how corruption flows. We know the law. Work with us, not as snitch, but as consultant. Help us clean up the department, get the real bad guys. Felix raised eyebrow. You're asking a criminal to help police? I'm asking the man who saved my life to help save this city. Sarah's voice strengthened. Ramos isn't the only dirty cop. We both know that. But you have access to information we don't. You hear things, see things, and if we work together quietly, carefully, we can actually fix this broken system. Mitchell stood. Absolutely not. Sarah, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. She faced him. Dad, you taught me that justice matters more than career. Well, this is me choosing justice. Felix looked at 3 of them. Disgraced cop, broken chief, lawyer trying to hold it together. Unlikely alliance. Dangerous. Complicated. Possibly suicidal. "I'm in," he said, "on one condition." "Name it." "This stays quiet. No press conferences, no public partnership. I help you take down corruption from inside, but my name stays out." Felix's voice hardened. "I've got an empire to protect, and enemies who'd see any cooperation with police as weakness." Rebecca nodded. "We can work with that." Mitchell looked at his daughter, at Felix, at impossible situation they were proposing. Then did something he never thought he'd do. Extended his hand to Felix Owens. "Deal." They shook. 3 weeks later, Detroit Police Headquarters. Press conference called with 1 hour's notice. Every major network showed up. Chief Richard Mitchell stood at podium looking like a man who'd been through war. Behind him, Captain Torres, FBI Special Agent Williams, Wayne County District Attorney. No Detective Ramos. He was already in custody. Cameras went live. 3 weeks ago, Mitchell began, voice steady but strained. "My daughter, Detective Sarah Mitchell, was shot by members of West Side Crew in what appeared to be random gang ambush. A man named Felix Owens, a known figure in Detroit's criminal underworld, found her and saved her life." Murmurs from press corps. "In the aftermath, we, this department, myself included, rushed to judgment. We assumed Mr. Owens' involvement was suspicious. We built a narrative where he orchestrated attack. We doctored evidence. We placed him in situations designed to get him killed." Room went dead silent. "We were wrong." Mitchell's voice cracked slightly. "An internal investigation triggered by my daughter's findings and assisted by federal authorities has revealed that Detective Marcus Ramos and 5 other officers were on West Side Crew's payroll. Detective Ramos tipped the gang about alleged meeting at warehouse that night. His intelligence was faulty. Mr. Owens wasn't there. My daughter was." Reporter shouted, "Are you saying Detective Ramos set up his own colleague?" "I'm saying Detective Ramos was feeding information to criminal organization. When that information led to officer shooting, he attempted to cover it up by framing an innocent man." Mitchell gripped podium. "Felix Owens did not orchestrate that ambush. He did not shoot my daughter. He saved her. And our response was to hunt him like an animal." Another reporter. "Chief, what does this say about Detroit Police Department?" Mitchell looked directly at camera. "It says we failed. We failed Detective Mitchell. We failed Felix Owens. We failed this city." He paused. "I've spent 30 years believing the system works because I made it work. But the system didn't work for Mr. Owens. It nearly killed him, and I have to live with that." "Chief, are you saying a crime boss is a hero?" Mitchell turned to face reporter, took a breath, then delivered the line that would define his career. "My daughter is alive because a criminal acted like a cop should." Room erupted. Questions screamed from every direction. Cameras flashed like strobes. But Mitchell wasn't finished. "Effective immediately, I'm announcing my resignation as chief of police. I'll stay on to assist with transition and ongoing corruption investigation, but I can no longer lead a department I failed to protect." Gasps. More shouting. "Additionally, all charges against Felix Owens are dropped. Not reduced, not pleaded. Dropped. He committed no crime. He did what every officer in this building swears an oath to do: protect and serve." Mitchell looked at camera again. "Mr. Owens, if you're watching, I'm sorry. On behalf of this department, this city, and myself personally, I'm sorry." Federal courtroom, 1 week later. Detective Marcus Ramos sat at defendant's table in orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed, facing charges that would put him away for decades. Conspiracy to commit murder, corruption, evidence tampering, attempted murder, because putting Felix in Gen Pop with paid attackers counted. Courtroom packed. Officers who'd worked with Ramos for years watched in stunned silence. Prosecution presented evidence Sarah had compiled. Bank records showing deposits totaling $36,000 over 18 months. Communications between Ramos and West Side leadership. Metadata proving surveillance footage of Felix was doctored. Then testimony from inmates who'd attacked Felix. Offered deals, they sang. Ramos paid them $5,000 each to kill Felix, make it look like prison justice. Ramos's attorney tried arguing entrapment, duress, anything. Didn't work. Jury took 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. 25 years minimum. As they led Ramos away, he locked eyes with Sarah sitting in gallery. "You destroyed your career for a criminal," he hissed. Sarah met his glare. "No, I destroyed yours for being one." DA's office, same day. District Attorney Jennifer Blake sat across from Felix and Rebecca in conference room with view of Detroit River. "Mr. Owens, investigation into Detective Ramos revealed connections to your operations we can no longer ignore." Felix's face remained neutral. "Here it comes." "However," Blake slid document across table. "Given your cooperation, circumstances of recent events, and civil rights violations you suffered while in our custody, the state is prepared to offer full immunity for past operations." Rebecca scanned document. "Full immunity? For anything predating Mitchell's shooting, clean slate. Additionally, settlement of $2.5 million for unlawful prosecution and attack in county jail." Felix read agreement slowly. "In exchange for?" "You divest from illegal operations. We're not naive. We know you have legitimate businesses. Focus on those. And," Blake hesitated, "informally assist with ongoing corruption investigations. Not as witness, just information sharing, when appropriate." Felix looked at Rebecca. She gave slight nod. "I want the record expunged," Felix said. "Every arrest tied to Ramos's investigations wiped clean." "Done. And public statement that I was wrongfully prosecuted." "Already drafted," Felix signed. 2 weeks later, West Side Crew headquarters FBI raid came at dawn. 50 agents, SWAT teams, warrants for every leader in West Side Crew. Evidence came from multiple sources. Testimony from Ramos, who flipped to reduce sentence. Financial records Felix had quietly provided. Sarah's dogged investigation. RICO charges, racketeering, murder, conspiracy. Entire leadership arrested in coordinated strikes across city. By nightfall, West Side Crew was finished. Power vacuum should have triggered gang war. Every crew in Detroit positioning to grab territory. Instead, something unexpected happened. Felix Owens, now legitimate, now untouchable, made calls, held meetings, brokered peace. Not because he wanted territory, because gang wars were bad for business. For everyone's business. Streets stayed quiet. Detroit noticed. Media firestorm. Story went national, international. The criminal who saved a cop. When the bad guy did the right thing. Detroit's reckoning. How one act of mercy exposed systemic corruption. Think pieces proliferated. Debates raged on cable news. Twitter was a war zone. But through it all, one narrative emerged. Felix Owens was complicated. Profile in The Atlantic explored his life, foster care, systemic failures, survival choices that led to criminal empire. But also, anonymous donations to community programs, low-interest loans to black businesses banks wouldn't touch, strict rules against violence. "I'm not a saint," Felix told one interviewer he agreed to speak with, black journalist from Detroit Free Press. "I've done things I'm not proud of, broken laws. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking to be seen as human. That's it. Not a villain, not a hero, just human." Quote went viral. Hashtag #JustHuman trended for 3 days. Detroit Police Department, Internal Affairs Division, Sarah Mitchell stood in new office. Smaller than she'd imagined, but hers. Deputy Chief of Internal Affairs, youngest person ever appointed to position. Her first official act, creating Civilian Review Board with actual investigative power. No more cops investigating cops. Her second, implementing mandatory body cameras that couldn't be turned off. Her third, direct hotline for reporting corruption. Anonymous, protected. Department resisted. Old guard called her traitor. Some still wouldn't speak to her. She didn't care. Use of force incidents dropped 40% first month. Community complaints dropped 60%. Trust, slowly, painfully, began to rebuild. Felix's office, downtown. Detroit sign outside read, Owens Security Consulting. Inside, Felix reviewed contracts for legitimate work, corporate security, risk assessment, private investigation, former police, former military, people who needed second chances. He'd divested from every illegal operation, money laundering, loans, all of it. Transitioned to real estate development, community investment, security firm. Less money, better sleep. Deshawn entered. Boss, youth center project got city approval. $3 million renovation. Breaks ground next month. Good. His phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Coffee tomorrow? Need your read on something. Felix typed. What time? Sarah. 7 a.m., usual place. An unlikely partnership. Former enemies. Current... what? Allies felt too formal. Friends felt too simple. People who understood that doing right mattered more than being right. Felix replied, See you there. And in that moment, something shifted in Detroit. Not fixed, not healed, but changing. One choice at a time. 6 months later, Felix Owens stood at ribbon-cutting ceremony for Jefferson Avenue Youth Center. $3 million. Gym, computer lab, after-school programs, art studios, safe space for 200 kids. Media showed up. Community showed up. City council showed up. Nobody asked where the money came from anymore. They just said thank you. Felix had transitioned 60% of his operations to legitimate businesses. Real estate, security consulting, community investment. Violence was gone. Gray areas remained, but the darkness had lifted. He funded scholarships, sponsored small businesses, hired people with records nobody else would touch. Empire rebuilt. Different foundation this time. Sarah Mitchell stood beside him at the ceremony, deputy chief badge catching sunlight. She'd cleaned out 12 corrupt officers in 6 months, reformed use of force policies, improved community relations. Crime hadn't spiked. Trust was slowly, painfully rebuilding. They'd formed an unlikely partnership. Felix fed her information on real threats, traffickers, violent gangs, corruption. She ensured his legitimate businesses weren't harassed. Not friendship exactly, mutual respect. And it worked. Chief Mitchell, former chief now, watched from the crowd. He'd retired early, started a foundation for officers' families and victims of police misconduct. Both sides, trying to heal what he'd helped break. At his retirement speech, he'd quoted the lesson his daughter and Felix taught him. Justice isn't about being right. It's about being fair. And sometimes the fairest thing is admitting you were wrong. The quote made national news. Some departments adopted it as training material. Others dismissed it as weakness. Mitchell didn't care anymore. He'd spent 3 decades certain of everything. Uncertainty felt like freedom. After the ceremony, Felix and Sarah grabbed coffee at the diner that had become their regular spot. Neutral ground, no badges, no territory. Just 2 people who'd saved each other's lives. Got something for you, Sarah said, sliding a folder across the table. Felix opened it. Employment application, Detroit Police Department. Civilian consultant position. Official, above board. You're serious? Dead serious. City Council approved it. You'd advise on community outreach, gang prevention, youth programs. Salary, benefits, all legal. Felix stared at the paperwork. 6 months ago, he was Detroit's most wanted. Now they wanted to hire him. What would I have to do? What you're already doing. Help kids, build bridges, show people there's another way. Sarah smiled. You're better at it than most cops I know. Felix looked at her. The cop who'd hunted him, the woman he'd saved, the ally who'd burned her career to save his life. I'll think about it. Take your time, Sarah stood. But Felix, you've already changed this city. Might as well get paid for it. She left him sitting there, coffee going cold, staring at an application that represented something he'd never thought possible. Redemption. Not forgiveness for the past, just permission to build a different future. He picked up a pen. 2 years later, text on screen. Felix Owens divested from all illegal operations by 2026. He now runs Owens Security Consulting and serves on the board of 5 nonprofit organizations dedicated to at-risk youth. His Jefferson Avenue Youth Center has served over 800 children and expanded to 3 locations across Detroit. Officer Sarah Mitchell became Detroit's youngest Deputy Chief of Internal Affairs. Under her leadership, use of force incidents dropped 40%, community complaints fell 60%, and public trust in Detroit police reached a 10-year high. She's been nominated for police chief twice. She's declined both times. "Still have work to do," she said. Former Chief Richard Mitchell's foundation has supported over 300 families affected by police violence and police line-of-duty deaths. He teaches constitutional law at Wayne State University and speaks nationally on police reform. Detective Marcus Ramos is serving 25 years in federal prison. 5 other Detroit officers were convicted of corruption charges. The FBI investigation led to reform measures adopted by police departments in 6 states. The West Side Crew was dismantled. Gang violence in Detroit dropped 35% in 18 months. Final scene. The alley. The alley where Sarah was shot has been transformed. Community garden now. Mural on brick wall. A black hand and a white hand, both reaching toward each other. Caption underneath, "Humanity First." The artist, a 17-year-old from Felix's youth program. Felix and Sarah attend the unveiling together, standing in the background watching the community gather. "You ever regret it?" Sarah asks quietly. "Stopping that night?" Felix thinks about the question, about everything that came after, the jail attack, the trial, the transformation, about the person he was and the person he's becoming. "No," he says. "You?" Sarah looks at him, smiles. Not for a second. They watch the neighborhood celebrate in the space where both their lives changed forever, where a choice was made, where mercy won, where humanity refused to pick sides. The mural's message is simple, universal, true. One choice, 3 minutes. One person deciding that another person's life mattered more than the risk. That's all it took to expose a corrupt system, save a city, and prove that labels, criminal, cop, black, white, are just noise. What matters is the choice, and the choice is always the same. Walk away or stop and help. What would you do?